to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. All things hockey, all the time. And now, here are your hosts, two washed-up beer leaguers who have no idea what they're talking about, Zach Martin and Alex Nuttall.
Hey, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, brought to you by Belly Up Sports and sponsored by Spy Optic and Pure Hockey. I am Zach Martin, and always with me is Alex Nuttall. Alex, how are you doing tonight, man?
Bueno. I'm doing muy bueno, other than the Blue Jackets taking a massive dump in the middle of Nationwide Arena. But other than that, doing great. How are you?
Doing good. So basically, it sounds like a usual night for you guys, just getting absolutely just crapped on.
Well, yeah, we won last game. So if we won last game, that means this game we're going to suck. And then, next game will be good. Yeah. So then the game after that, we're going to suck again. Yeah. That's fine.
I'm doing all right for the fact that, Blackhawks lost to the Hurricanes last night. That absolutely stunk. And then we were supposed to play tonight, but that got postponed. And Carolina had to play Tampa. So we technically lost the game tonight, and then we got until like Tuesday for our next one. So it's going to be a bit before I see any Blackhawks games. But, once we get to the third period, we'll, break down more Blackhawks stuff. And then, we got a special guest for, the period 2 segment, which I know you were pretty excited about to get this guy on.
Oh, yeah.
But so the first game of the back-to-back of the Lake Tahoe games happened today, or that was
a third of it happened.
Yeah, a third of it happened, and then basically it got pushed back because the NHL realized when you play a game at noon in California, you have to deal with the sun.
Yeah,
and you have to give the NHL credit for doing this on the fly because the fact that we were supposed to have like Carolina having a Winter Classic in Raleigh, and then you guys were supposed to have a game too, and it's like, all right, we're gonna do the Lake Tahoe games, and then they didn't account for the sun, so now we have like a midnight start on the East Coast.
Oh, I mean, yeah, they're gonna be resuming at midnight, and currently the Avalanche are up 1-0 after the first, but to me it's
like yikes.
I find it hilarious that they didn't listen to Bill Nye the Science Guy and say, hey, when it's hot outside or when there's sun, ice melts. And when ice melts, there's no more ice. And then it's going to cause issues. Like you're watching these guys fall in like holes of slush.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, something's not going to work.
Yeah, like you see guys literally like putting their sticks in the ice and you see this big clumps of ice just coming on it. Like, we're like refs were falling, guys were falling. It's like, you had Grubauer wearing a pair of sunglasses when he's in net.
He got shafted because, luckily they only played one period and he didn't let anything in, but he would have been facing the sun and getting the reflection from the sun for 2 periods.
Yeah.
And, Fleury kind of got a little bit lucky, but it's, once you go into the outdoor games, you have a lot of the extra issues with shadows and then the outside temperature. And then you have to worry about wind and glare, and it's crazy. But luckily I don't know if they had a backup plan at that point, but they say they do, and it's going to start at midnight. I don't know how that's going to go. And then the game tomorrow, they already moved back to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, I think they pushed up the Jersey game to like 2 or something like that. So they kind of flip-flop games. But yeah, like you would think that the NHL would know that, like, hey, we're playing a noon game on the West Coast. And it's just like, I think they were hoping that there would be no sun. Like they were hoping like every other Winter Classic they've ever had where it was just dreary and the weather was just absolute trash.
Well, I know in their defense, they were, I heard them talking about it. I think towards the end of the first period or in the intermission that they were expecting pretty significant cloud coverage.
And it just didn't.
So
Well, I mean,
there were no clouds. I mean, there were some here and there, but it was just straight sun.
I mean, like I said, you really can't give the NHL too much crap for it because, you know, you've seen the photos and you saw how the games, you know, the pregame and all that stuff. I mean, it's gorgeous. I mean, they picked a really good spot for this game. I would almost prefer like locations like this, almost like an ODR type situation, not literally on the lake, but, you know, like an ODR like this instead of like, you know, football stadiums where they're so far back, like the fans are like, you can barely see the fans, and it's like just nothing around the like arena, like around the rink. I would almost rather have it like this, honestly, like, you know, in areas where it's like, you know, you got beautiful scenes like you do in Lake Tahoe. I mean, how do you like
that? Here's what they need to do. So instead, every single team every year needs to have one game where they're rollerblading instead of ice skating.
Oh my gosh.
And then you're going to see who the real skaters are that can sit there and rollerblade like crazy. Have one outdoor roller game every year.
I can't even take you seriously with that take. Have you been drinking?
No, but for real, I mean, location, awesome. It's really cool, but you know,
not so much.
Well, I mean, yes and no. It's one of those things that it's an outdoor game. You can't really predict what nature's going to do.
Right, of course.
You see the meteorologists, they get it right about 6% of the time, and they're handed that information, so they're not even really looking. But it's I want to continue to have games like this, but it needs to be altered. Like, have an outdoor game in Canada. How cool would it be to have an outdoor game in a location like that with no fans or maybe some, and then watch the Oilers and the Flames just beat the crap out of each other? Or watch the Leafs and the Senators or something.
I mean, there's ways you could do it. I think mostly you would have to have a start time later in the afternoon, or like, you know, like 7:30 or something like that. Like, you would actually have to have it to where the sun's not going to be that much of a factor. You can't have an outdoor game like that at noon on the West Coast and you're hoping for clouds and stuff. It's unfortunate, it's not how it is, and it's in California. So I mean, now you're really playing with fire because you know. But I mean, you know, like I said, I'm not going to give the Angel too much grief on that. I mean, you know, it's a good. So I think what they did is a good idea, and I definitely think they need to do more of this. So I mean, it's unfortunate how it happened, and there's going to be a lot of fans who are going to be watching hockey until it's like almost 1:30 in the morning.
I will.
Which is normal for people who are fans of West Coast teams who live on the East Coast, because all their games start at like 10:30 at night. Yeah. So I mean, what's the difference?
Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah, I do want to see more of a variety like this. You know, you have the Stadium Series, which is cool, and then you had the International Series, which is cool. You know, get some of this stuff. Like, I've seen a bunch of people on Twitter today talking about, let's get the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings to play at Lake Erie. Yeah. Or, you know, have like the Wild play up near Lake Superior, or
I saw one.
Over there.
Yeah, someone said something about there's this lake in Alberta, and I completely forget what the name of it is now. I wish I kind of saved this tweet for it, but someone mentioned it should be at this castle on this lake, where there was like mountains around this lake, and it would be an awesome spot for Edmonton, Calgary. Like,
I saw that picture earlier, and the first thing I thought of was Hogwarts from Harry Potter. Yeah, right. Yeah, because it's basically basically a castle almost, and you've got a lake and mountains around it. Yeah, like, that'd be a great spot for. They need to experiment with stuff like that more. Like, I wouldn't mind. So they did these international series. Yeah. I mean, there are some super awesome spots in Sweden, Finland, Norway, and I'm sure like northern France or something like. There's some really cool places.
I mean, even probably Sochi and stuff like that. And there's a lot of good areas in Austria, Switzerland. Switzerland is supposed to be really beautiful out there. So I mean, you get a nice spot out in those areas. With me, I think Stadium Series, those are fine. I think Winter Classics at football stadiums, like we saw how was it the Cotton Bowl with Dallas and Nashville. It was kind of like, the fans are so far away from the rink. It's like you don't really know they're there. And I mean, Notre Dame Stadium kind of worked between Chicago and Boston and stuff like that. It's just there's some stadiums that I think they could do that, and there's some that are like, if you don't want to be so far away that you're almost taking the fans out of the game. So it's
get it. I think Bettman and they're going to continue to look at it like, hey, we can fill in 95,000 people. That's a lot of money, so we'll just do it because people will still show up regardless.
Yeah,
so
true.
It's like, hey, they're going to get a shit ton of money, so why not?
Yeah, the one that was supposed to be in Raleigh was supposed to be NC State's football stadium. It's right next door to the arena at PNC. It's really nice. I mean, it's really compact. So you think about that, having a football like that, like a college football atmosphere like that for until getting for a Hurricanes game. Hopefully the Hurricanes do get that Winter Classic. Oh, hey, Canes Jackets Winter Classic down there in Raleigh. That'd be fun to watch.
No.
But you guys won't get it, though, because no one cares about you.
That's great. I don't care. I will still continue to advocate. It should be if there's going to be one next year, it needs to be the Blue Jackets in the Wild. 20th anniversary seasons. Next year will be 21st, but that's what should have happened this year. But, we don't use common sense and stuff like that. We're going to we're going to give Colorado that. We're going to continue to stroke Vegas and Boston. Then, you know what? Let's just go ahead and throw Philly in there too. Why not?
Yeah, right. Well, speaking of teams out there in the far east of the United States, Nico Hischier is now a captain in the New Jersey Devils. I think it's the 12th captain in team history. And it was just like kind of out of nowhere. Like even Nico was like, oh, okay. He even was like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah,
I'm captain now.
I think some of that, I saw some stuff before where they were talking about making Kyle Palmieri the captain and he didn't want it. I think a lot of it was he didn't feel like it was either he didn't feel like he should be captain or he thought Nico should be the captain.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure, but
hey,
I mean,
cool.
To
Nico, though. Yeah.
Nico. There's been a lot of new captains this year. I mean, all the way back from Boston, Detroit,
St. Louis.
St. Louis and
Ottawa. Ottawa's gone with the triple A's.
Whatever. Yeah, there's going on there.
It's gonna be break a check. Everyone knows it. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of that they're going to wait on his contract. Because he still has another year or maybe two. Once they'll sign him long, and then he'll be captain. So I get that. Yeah,
we definitely need to bring the New Era Sens guys on. Another one of the podcasts here on Belly Up Sports. We need to bring them on and get their thoughts on that situation because they have probably a better idea. They're like, Brady or Chabot or something like that. There's someone on that team that can get it, but congrats to Nico though. 12th captain in New Jersey Devils history. So for likes of Scott Stevens and all those guys. So nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Speaking of the Devils, good old shout out to Ryan from Belly Up Sports over at the No Credentials Required. So go give him a listen.
Because you were on there recently.
Yep, I was talking to him a little bit during his hockey section, and he's a really cool guy. He knows a lot about hockey too. So if you guys are listening to this, obviously when you're done with listening to our podcast, and then when you're done buying stuff from Pure Hockey and Spy Optic, using our affiliate links, then go listen to him. Yeah. And then you can wait and you'll get the tracking information, all that stuff. So it's good.
Yeah. Right. And you feel kind of bad for him because he's a Devils fan. So,
now from how they're performing, but I feel bad for Blue Jackets fans. The Devils have won the cup. They've had a lot of good, solid success and a lot of really good guys. We've had Rick Nash and that's about it.
Adam Foote for a hot second.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That Blue Jackets legend, David Viborny for.
Hey, don't forget Blue Jackets legend, Jeff Carter. He did a little something for you guys. So
I'm going to go ahead and keep my mouth shut about Jeff Carter.
Man, it's lovely. It's just fun to give you a hard time, but another team there's another big news tonight. Everyone probably saw it already. Sidney Crosby plays 1,000th NHL game tonight. Really can't say 1,000th at all. So there's that. But yeah, congrats to Sid for 1,000 games. I mean,
yeah. Speaking of another player that I can't stand, obviously being on the Penguins, but that's awesome. I mean, you don't have a lot of guys that hit that 1,000 game mark, and
yeah,
he's been a staple of Pittsburgh, and I think he's just going to continue to play there for the rest of his career.
Oh, for sure.
It's solid guy, great captain. Tired of him scoring and doing all, the success stuff against the Blue Jackets, but still, It's one of those things that it's really cool. And I don't know if you saw, there was a video of their pregame, and every single one of the guys on the Devils, good grief, the Penguins were all wearing a Crosby jersey when they went out on for warmups, and then
did his ritual and stuff.
Yeah, at one point everybody on cue got on a knee to tie their skates at the same time, like Crosby does before every single game. And I thought that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Good for them. They won tonight. It's the only time I'll ever root for the Penguins. They won tonight, and Crosby, even though he didn't score, he got 2 assists. So cool. Good for him.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine? Like, remember that? What was it, a 2 or 3 year stretch where he missed so many games due to concussions? Like, think of how many games he would already be at if he didn't get hurt those.
I'd say he could probably be around
13, probably
12 to 13. 12 to 13 probably on the high end, but yeah, probably around 1,200.
Yeah, 12 to 1,300 already. Like, he would. Yeah, it's crazy how many games he's missed, but he still is already at 1,000. So I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and I think he's only 33-ish, 32, like 33.
Because he came in pretty. Yeah, he came in really young.
In 2005.
Jeez.
It's
way to make you feel old when it's like he's been in the league since 2005. You're like, holy crap.
Yeah, Crosby is 33.
Okay. Well, a lot of good things tonight. Nico got the captaincy, and Sid gave 1,000 and got 2 apples in it. So
yeah,
can't beat that.
No, for sure. So I guess in somewhat related news, I guess along the lines of the Metro, we might touch on it a little bit in the second period, but it just became formal today that the Blue Jackets got state approval for 10% attendance at their games. So it's like just under 2,000 fans.
Okay.
Cool. That's better than 0.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
That's good. There is one little thing we have to talk about, because I feel so bad for these college kids who are going to have to deal with this. It has been reported that Mike Babcock is going to be the head coach of the University of Saskatchewan Huskies men's hockey team, and I already feel bad for these kids.
Oh yeah,
I even tweeted today. I'm like, I feel so bad for them, because they're going to get absolutely just mentally abused by that clown. I cannot believe that a university in Canada, knowing what they know about Babcock, made him a head coach next year.
Yeah, like, you're letting him go from doing this to professional athletes, treating them like shit, and you're going to let him go from that stage to college kids.
Yeah.
Horrible kids. Mistake. What's next? He's going to get fired from there and go be a high school coach?
No, Pee Wee. No, midgets. AAA. He's going to go just mess with them in midget hockey.
I'm curious now as to what not that I follow them or anything, but I'm curious to what the change in their recruiting would look like, saying, I don't want you going there. Like, if it were my kid and I knew all the situation, I'd be like, I know you wanted to go there, but that's not going to happen.
No.
At least you're not going to play hockey there. Not for him.
Yeah. Yeah. You're going to see a lot of kids go to the University of Ottawa or University of Toronto or, I don't know a lot of schools up there, like St. Xavier, stuff like that. I wish I knew more colleges up there. But yeah, the University of Saskatchewan made a big mistake for the fact that they're going to let a guy who absolutely, he made, what was it? Was it Johan Franzen? I think he made Johan Franzen cry or get so mentally abused that he hated hockey. And then he absolutely just shafted Madonna on 1,500 games or something like that Like, didn't even let him play. And then he like basically threw Mitch Marner under the bus in front of all of his teammates and didn't do anything to stick up for him. And then now he's like on NBC Sports Network for whatever reason, trying to make him look better. And now he's a college coach. Like, okay, yeah. So you basically want to abuse kids earlier than the pros, because I don't know what the University of Saskatchewan's thinking to make Mike Babcock.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean,
when I saw that, I thought it was a joke. I'm like, there's no way a college just let a guy who's well known to mentally abuse professional athletes be a head coach. And no, Drager talked about it. Johnston talked about it. Like almost all the guys in Canada have mentioned this. And I'm curious to see what Steve Dangle and those guys on their podcast, they're going to think about this, because, as them being massive, Maple Leafs fans, but, just everything they talk about in general for hockey in Canada and the States, I'm curious to see what they're going to think about that, because they don't like Babcock at all, just because of all the crap that he, put Mitch and all them through. So I'm curious to see what their thoughts on that. But that's terrible. I feel bad for those kids at the University of Saskatchewan.
Oh, I do too. It's knowing the Steve and all those guys' opinions about Babcock. I'm sure there are some strong thoughts about this, especially going down to college kids who are preparing for trying to get into the NHL or the CHL or just a professional hockey league. You're supposed to be helping to develop these kids, and your blatantly open and public history of mentally tormenting professional athletes. Mm-hmm. Why on earth would anybody let you coach college kids?
Yeah, like he's not going to the CHL. Like, he's going to college kids, and I don't know what the difference is between the NCAA down here in the States to compare to what goes on in Canada for their governing student athlete body and stuff like that. So I don't know what the parameters of student athletes and everything that goes on up there. But yeah, you would think it's like you said, why would you let a known guy who's abused hockey players mentally do that to college kids? It's like you said, if I was having a kid, I'm like, no, you're going to go to a different school, or you're actually not going to play hockey at Saskatchewan, because that's going to be all kinds of, that's crazy.
The unfortunate part of that is, it's University of Saskatchewan. That's a large part of Canada. It's not Columbus State Community College or Fresno Technical Institute, or the Southampton Institute of Technology. Shout out to the movie Accepted. But it's one of those, it's a big school and a big area where their culture is hockey.
Yeah.
Why?
Because like I said, I don't know how the college situation is up there, but you would have to think there's probably not a lot of colleges in a lot of these provinces, unless it's like a really small group of nucleus ones in the big cities. But I mean, if you're looking at, that might be the only college in Saskatchewan, as far as I know. I mean, if people from there somehow listen to this podcast, let us know if there's more schools other than University of Saskatchewan. But yeah, like you said,
we don't know a lot about up there. And also, if you're listening, go ahead and throw some Tim Hortons promo codes down in our comments and stuff too. We would happily use those. Get some. Well,
they're gonna have to ship it. Well, they're gonna have to ship it to South Carolina, but I'm more than willing to take some Tim Hortons and some double doubles. So, I mean, I'm not.
Do you not have a Tim Hortons in South Carolina?
Dude, Tim Hortons doesn't even go past Ohio. Like I know they're in Ohio.
Yeah, I've got I'm pretty sure I've got like 10 within a 15-mile radius of me.
Oh yeah, no, Northeast Ohio has it too. It's just I know they've been Chillicothe and all that, but I mean, I've seen none south of that. So no, we don't even have a Sheetz down here or a Wawa.
Do you guys at least have like a Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme or something?
Oh, we got those. Yeah, I mean, we have Dunkin'. I have a Dunkin' like 5 minutes from my house.
Okay. Well, at least you have that subpar nonsense.
Hey. Dunkin' Donuts is perfectly fine. Don't start that nonsense.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to have a Tim Hortons, but we're not that lucky.
Your favorite donut place? What is your favorite donut? And
from there, or just donuts
anywhere?
In general?
Anywhere. Do you like donuts from Dunkin'? Do you like them from Krispy Kreme, Tim Hortons? you like it from duck? What's your favorite?
I would say we have a duck donuts, but it's only have like one of them in the entire area. So I would still say Tim Hortons is my favorite for donuts, but for the fact of what we have down here, I'm still taking duck donuts for sure.
Yeah, up near me in Columbus, I'd have to say, I'm pretty sure I'd have to go with Jolly Pirate.
I've heard about it, but I've never been there before. I need to find a way to get up there to get one of those.
It's one of those things like I would prefer to have that all the time, but I have to go out of my way, and I don't really want to do that. Yeah. Especially working at home. There's a Tim Hortons like 2 minutes away, so I'll just get up and go to Tim Hortons at 7 o'clock in the morning and come back.
Yeah, get the Timbits and some double doubles and all that stuff, and you're good to go for the rest of the day.
Double. Oh, jeez. You monster.
Everyone's probably listening to this podcast going like, what the heck is a Timbit?
Hey.
Look it up. You'll know. Shout
out to my Canadian folk. We can talk about Tim Hortons all day. You probably know more about it.
I know the Sens guys are probably going to love this. They're like, holy crap, they're talking about Tim Hortons on a podcast with two guys from the States. Okay, let's go.
Hey, shout out to them. Whenever we get them on here, we're going to have a whole section talking about donuts and maple syrup and the Canadian geese to get them out of our country because they're annoying.
For sure. But speaking of having guys on, do you want to introduce our special guest for tonight?
Yeah.
Going into period 2.
Absolutely. So coming up here in just a minute, we are going to have Jordan from the CBJ Artillery podcast. If you're listening, the Artillery podcast has been around for a decent amount of time. They've helped develop a lot of the hockey culture around Columbus with the Blue Jackets and stuff like that. So here coming up here shortly, we're going to have Jordan hop on. We're going to talk some Blue Jackets and get his takes on how he feels about torts and what's going on in Columbus, what we can, what he thinks we can do to be serious contenders and stuff like that.
You're listening to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast. Here are your hosts, Zach Martin and Alex Nuttall.
What's going on, guys? This is the second period of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast presented by Belly Up Sports and sponsored by Pure Hockey and Spy Optics. Today we have with us Jordan from the CBJ Artillery podcast. Jordan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. So obviously we're just going to talk about some good old Blue Jackets and, why we're the best team in the whole wide world and why we're going to win the Stanley Cup.
Can you give me the reason for that, or give me your analogy? Because I'm still looking for it right now.
Yeah, we got Jack Roslovic. That's all we need to have.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, Alex probably had like 4 or 5 beers tonight, so I guess he's feeling pretty good about himself.
I'm right there with you, bud.
Absolutely. So we'll start with our first question and let it fly. I want the straight from the heart opinion.
If you listen to our podcast at all, we let it fly.
Oh, absolutely. Starting next season, do you want Torts back?
Yes, I do. I love Torts, man. I think he's a good coach. He's proven that he's the winningest coach in Blue Jackets franchise history. I mean, you can't dispute that. I think the whole notion that Tortorella kind of stifles the growth of younger dudes and superstars, I think is a misconception or a misinterpretation rather. I think he's a great coach. I think he's good for Columbus. I think he fits this identity well. And listen, if you just buy into the Tortorella system, I know we always hear that, buy into the system, buy into what he coaches, buy into what he believes. It works. Have we advanced deep into the playoffs? No. But I just think there's a lot of things that come up with Tortorella in the media that just later comes out to be false. For instance, the whole Laine situation where Laine was benched and everyone's like up in arms. Even I was at the time. I was like, what is Tortorella doing? Why is he being benched right now? This is like his 4th game and he's already riding the pine and Tortorella is sitting him already. Well, it came out later that, Laine mouthed off to a coach. And if I'm Tortorella, I'm benching Laine. Like, you don't do that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man. To me, I think he should be our head coach moving forward. Do I enjoy the constant blender of the lines? No. But I genuinely think he's trying to figure out what he can do with what he's given. And last year he wasn't given a whole lot because we had how many guys on the IR? Crap ton. And we see what he does with true talent, given the example of Panarin. He let Panarin do whatever the hell he wanted to do. And I think he'll let Laine do that too. I think he's the right guy for the job. I think he's a good coach for young players. And if you're not a little prima donna like Pierre-Luc Dubois and you buy into it, he'll set a good example moving forward on how to be a true professional. And I'm all for Tortorella.
Oh, absolutely. And I think all you have to do is look no further than Michael Del Zotto to figure that out. You know, exactly. You had his past with Torts in New York, and then he moved on with his career. The fact that he kept in touch with him and he was excited to come back to Columbus and sign with him. And, you know, look at how he's doing now. He's, in my opinion, our best defenseman so far this year. You know, Seth Jones has had his games. Werenski's been non-existent so far. Savard and Gavrikov have had their moments, but for the most part, you know, Del Zotto's been the most consistent. But so like with that game where Laine was benched, I mean, I was pissed at the beginning too, right when it happened. Later, you know, when you find out, you're like, oh, dude, he totally deserved it.
Yeah, but even Laine said that. Yeah, Laine came out the next day in a press conference and said, like, if I was Torts, I would have done the same thing. Yeah. So it's like everyone got worked up, and even we got worked up. I mean, from the artillery standpoint, we dropped a podcast that night, and my pure speculation was Torts was shortening the bench on a superstar, and I was not a fan of that. Yeah. But a lot of times you got to wait for the details to come out. That's with anything in life. A lot of people jump to conclusions, and that I'm guilty of that with the whole Laine thing. And to come to find out that, you know, if I'd mouthed off to a coach in high school, you bet your ass I'm sitting on the bench. There's no way around it. You could be making $7 million like Laine is, and at the same time, you gotta your coach as a coach, you got to expect respect from the guys that are playing for you. So I mean, you know, I don't fault him for that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with that game initially was, you know, Laine was sitting, and I was like, okay, well, here we go again. But then, you know, you had Tex was benched, and then Kukin was benched. Yeah, and it's just kind of, I think I just think the antics, and this is me, but I think the antics of if a guy doesn't play the way you want, you're going to put him in timeout.
Yeah,
that kind of seems like that gets a little old. And, you know, there's parts of Torts' system that I feel are still stuck in the late 90s. And it's frustrating because, you know, it's a different type of player. You know, you have Patrick Laine, Austin Matthews.
Different type of game now.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot faster and less physical. So, you know, you're going to have more goals compared to, you know, when Belfour was stopping everything. And it's like, it's a different time. But I think that Torts needs to, I don't know. I think he needs to get away from his defensive system just a little bit rather than.
Yeah. And I feel like at the beginning of the season, I remember Tortorella saying that they're going to try to go away from the completely defensive mindset and try to go more offensively because we weren't scoring a lot of goals last year.
Yeah.
And, you know, we saw without Panarin, we saw just kind of how, you know, flatlined our offense was. And I think this year we're still struggling to find that identity with this team. We have a lot of new players trying to get into the system. We've seen Max Domi struggle. We've seen a handful of other guys obviously struggle. Cam's finally turning it on.
Yeah.
And so I think we do have a new approach this year of just let's score goals. And shoot, we scored 6 goals the other night and still lost. So it just goes kind of to show you, like, defensively, I think we kind of lost our identity, or they were maybe in the brief training camp they had, maybe they were trying to structure this new type of team identity, and we just haven't been. To me, everything's just not cohesive right now. I think that's what we're seeing. And I think once we lock that down, I think we do have a team that can make a run. And I think if we get back defensively minded to where we were last year, but also focus more offensively, because we have Patrick Laine, and I mean, Jack Roslovic's coming in here. He's on a tear. We have guys in place now that we've been wanting. So I think the team if the team does figure it out, I think we have a team that could definitely make an impact in the playoffs.
Yeah. I thoroughly think we have the pieces, you know, between Corpy and Elvis and between the pipes. You know, Elvis looked fantastic last night. playing against the Predators and getting that shutout.
Oh, it was great to see.
Corpy's constantly playing hard. It just seems like our defense always forgets to show up whenever he's in.
Lately, yeah.
But, I think that there's just something missing, and maybe not from a personnel standpoint, but there's something that just needs to click. And I think if that clicks, then, we have a solid team this year. It's just, Domi, if he can find his place on the ice, he'll do well. Roslovic has really found his footing at center. He didn't get that opportunity in Winnipeg. Nope. So Torch is like, hey, well, we just gave you guys a center. Let's throw this guy in. And now he's acting like our number one center. Yeah. I'm hoping that we can do well and, at minimum, make the playoffs. But obviously we want to win the cup.
We definitely have to bolster up through the middle, though. Like Domi, I really want Domi to be if Roslovic's moving forward going to be our number one center, which I never would have. You would have told me at the beginning of the year, I would have called you crazy. Granted, I'd love to have Roslovic on this team. I didn't see him as a number one center guy. Obviously, in my mind, Domi was that person.
Yeah.
To see Domi on that fourth line last night, or at least starting on that fourth line last night, I was kind of like, damn, this guy's really got to get going. So I really want to bolster up the middle of the ice for the Blue Jackets. I think that'll help us long term. And Domi's got to be a guy that really gets going there.
Mm-hmm. So I saw this on Twitter earlier today that apparently now there are talks resurfacing about Jack Eichel wanting to leave Buffalo.
Okay.
And he's made it known again. Do you think we should entertain that? Just see what they would be asking for him?
Oh, I think you should definitely entertain it. You definitely got to put out the feelers. If you're Yarmo, he's Jack Eichel's top 10 player in the NHL, if not top 5. So, you got to put out the feelers. Whether they come back and they say, well, we want such and such and such, where it's too much, and we don't want to entertain that, then by all means, don't worry about it. But I think you definitely put out the feelers if you're GM. I think that's your duty, that's your job. So
yeah,
I don't know what it would take to bring an Eichel in here. I would hate to ruin some depth that we do have, but I don't even know what Buffalo would need really. But
yeah, I saw the rumor it would start around something like Foodie, 2 first rounds, and then like another top prospect or something.
You don't think Buffalo would want if Buffalo's thinking about a rebuild, yeah, they might want prospects as opposed to NHL ready guys right now.
Yeah.
So we already are so thin with draft picks right now that we have available. I'd be interested to see if Yarman would ever pull the trigger on something like that, though.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see about that.
You can give up Corpusalo and a couple picks for him. Maybe they need a goalie because I don't think Allmark's doing anything for them right now.
Dude,
give him a goalie.
I'm telling you, I thoroughly believe if we're not making the playoffs, one of our 2 goalies is gone by the end of the year, because we will not be able to afford both of them. And if they want to keep like Seth Jones and Werenski, get Domi to sign long-term, Laine to sign long-term, my big thing is at the end of the year, they need to re-sign Del Zotto. He's not going to be that expensive. He's going to be a solid guy to keep. But Corpy and Elvis, we can't afford both of them. And I've seen a big thing where they were looking at trading Corpy to Edmonton, get someone like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and maybe a pick, or if that's good straight up 1-for-1, then fine.
Yeah. We have them locked up to each of them are locked up right now for a couple of years, right? So
both of our goalies, they are good through the end of next season. But the problem is they're both unrestricted free agents at the end of next year. So theoretically, they can both just walk, and then, we'll have Kivlenix be our starting.
Yeah. Between the two, this has always been a highly talked about subject on our podcast. Who would you want to be if you had to put a franchise or like a long-term goalie situation between the two for Columbus? Who would you want?
So I've had that conversation quite a bit. Corpy's more consistent in my mind, but I think Elvis has a higher ceiling and has a lot more potential. Between the two, I would probably have to go with Elvis. Granted, we don't have a huge sample size. We have 71 games last season and then a handful this year so far. But if it's going to continue to where he's going to start kind of slow and then he's going to pick up, a month in or something, I'm fine with that. And then he's just going to go on a tear. Corby, I think he's the guy that flies under the radar, but then Elvis, he makes big saves, but he seems to be the guy that's going to be on the highlight reels more than anything.
Well, when you look what's going on in Chicago, Lincoln had no game time at all, and he's getting back-to-back games now. He's getting, guys first shot the other night. So, it's a small sample size for Elvis, but if he's got upside, you have to go with the guy with more of an upside.
To be honest,
more sturdy.
To be honest with you, you guys got super dicked because Crawford left, and then you're like, hey, we're going to sign Malcolm Subban. He's the world savior. Well, the guy couldn't catch a cold. So then you just got lucky because you have Lankinen, who is proving to be an easy Calder candidate right now, and possibly Vezina. I'm not going to reach that far, but he's already in the talks for it.
Oh yeah.
But it's a different situation because, with us, we had Corpy, who was overshadowed by Bob for years. And then Bob leaves and everyone's like, oh, well, Corpy, he's been the backup. He's going to be terrible. And then
the very next year, all-star.
Yeah. And it's like, Corpy's like, hey, this is my time to shine. And then guess what? Oh, hey, here's Elvis, our number one goalie prospect that everyone's been talking about. And then it almost seems like Corpy's being overshadowed again until the 85 save overtime game in the playoffs against Tampa.
And also Elvis got paid more, which I thought was really interesting for, I think, around the same term, if not the same term.
Yeah, they both signed a 2-year deal. Corpy was roughly 2 or just over 2. And then Elvis was like 4.2, 4.3 or something like that, which
I found that really interesting.
I could have understood if that was backwards. But
same. Exactly.
With Elvis, that reminded me a lot of Bennington. He had half of a year. Now, granted, he won the Stanley Cup, but then they signed him to I think like a 4-year deal, and it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And now he's just kind of there.
Yeah. That was strange to me to see that type of deal. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not upset about it that he's just there.
Well, that's the Blues. No one likes the Blues. But who would you take?
Trust me, I know.
Between the two.
Between the two, so it's a tough question because, like, on the Artillery podcast, I always speak fairly highly of Corpy, and I at the beginning of the season, Tortorella came out and he said, like, hey, like, these guys are going to be splitting it right down the middle. Obviously, Elvis got hurt, so Corpy got some more starts there for a while. And the way Corpy presents himself out there, I just feel like he's calmer. Elvis is definitely, we've seen him not afraid to get into some scuffles. Like he's very high energy on the ice, which is cool too. Like that's his way of playing. That's his style. I don't fault him for that. But I don't know, the way Corpy composes himself in the net, and I feel like you can't deny the fact that he came off a season where he made the All-Star team in his first really full season, his first full season. To me, so kind of what you were saying earlier, the sample size is small for Elvis, so I don't know. And for me, just knowing that Corpy kind of was an understudy of Bobrovsky, who was a fantastic goalie lately, kind of iffy, although Florida's number one right now. But to me, I go my heart of hearts, I lean towards Corpy. I really do. I think Elvis could maybe garner a little more trade value for the simple fact that I feel like he's more beyond his actual play on the ice. I feel like he's kind of more marketable too.
Yeah.
Teams might hop on that idea.
It's not every day you get a goalie named Elvis. And I still believe that at some point in his career, he will play for Vegas, specifically because of his name.
Has to, right? I mean, that just has to be a thing.
Yeah. But, so you're talking about the trade value along those lines. That's why I feel that Corpy is going to be more sought after from other teams because you have a lower cap hit, granted for the 1 year. You've seen the consistency. You've seen what he can do with 5 overtimes playing for 6 hours, and he's still perfectly fine. Even then that goal was a fluke, just going off of Gavrikoff's shoulder. But
a goal isn't a fluke if you're a Blue Jackets fan. It's almost ridiculous. It's fluke after fluke.
That got to a point where I was like, I just want somebody to score because it's been going on for way too long.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see. So in terms of guys leaving, so this is Foligno's last year of his contract. He's a free agent at the end of the year. I'm sure I know the answer to this because I know what you guys think of Foligno, but do you want him back and for how long?
I want him back, yes. I've given Foligno some shit on the Artillery podcast for obviously his offensive production. Granted, he's the kind of player that's not going – he had a couple good seasons where he got you, around the 30-goal mark, which is fantastic. He's a grinded-out player, board battle guy in front of the net, duking it out, dirty goals, which, I'm cool with that. I have given him some grief, though, over the past year or two because obviously his production, I feel like, has been down to where I feel like as a captain, you gotta be a little better than that. I don't discredit his leadership, though. I think I'm not in the locker room, but I think he's a fantastic leader off the ice, in front of the media, great guy. I do want him back. I think he's going to have to take like a hometown discount. I don't think you sign him to more than $1.5 million, $2 million max. I think he's probably making around $5 million right now. Is that right?
I think he's about 5.5.
Yeah. I think he's definitely got to realize that his time in the NHL is slowly dwindling. Best captain we've ever had, hands down.
Easily.
I won't dispute that. Even Rick Nash was one of the best players we ever had, but I wouldn't say he was a good captain.
No.
Well, yeah, I think Foligno. I think you sign him to maybe like a 2-year, $1.5-2 million contract, and I think he's got to realize that that's what he should take. Because I honestly don't know that there's a lot of teams out there that are going to be clamoring to get Nick Foligno. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we have all these other guys with our salary cap situation, especially with the defensemen, we only have 2 guys signed through the end of next season. It's Ollie and Cam. We need to be able to afford people. Granted, if Cam is going to do this every other year where he's productive, then, that contract ends up looking like it wasn't great, but it's also not that much. It's what, $5.8 million a year, which luckily it's not
on the season, somewhere around there.
Yeah, something. It's just, Foligno is going to have to realize that he needs to take a discount because we can't be paying him $6 million to give us 7 goals and a couple of fights.
Yeah.
It's just
there's only so much you can pay a guy for the amount of hustle and grind you put out on the ice. Yeah. You eventually you got to look to production. He's not, if he's not burying it, every other night, then he's got to take a discount. Like he's got to realize that.
Hands down. So, all right, theoretically, if he leaves, contract situation aside, who's the next captain?
At this particular moment in time, I would have to. What's Seth Jones's term right now? Is he a free agent coming up?
Yep, he's going to be a free agent after next season.
Okay, so if we lock up Seth Jones, I think it's got to be Jonesy. I really do.
I 100% agree.
Hands down. If we don't lock up Jones and he wants to go elsewhere, that's a toughie. I don't know. I'm not giving it to Boone. Sorry.
No.
I'm not. Atkinson, maybe, because he does have 3 years left maybe on his deal.
Yeah, he is good until the end of the 24-25 season.
Okay. So maybe an Atkinson, but I think priority number one, moving forward is give Seth Jones what he wants.
Yeah.
And, I think you put the C on him if Foligno does not come back.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And, a lot of stuff like that, it's, if Foligno leaves and, they gave it to Cam and not Seth, the A there's another one floating around. If they want to stick with their 3As, I'd have to be
Roslovic.
Yeah, Bjorky or Roslovic. I think, with Jack.
Down boy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very pleased with him so far. So, at the beginning of the season, it was all the drama going on saying, hey, he doesn't want to go to camp, but he's in Columbus. And then, we saw it on Twitter. Oh, bring him to Columbus just as a joke. Like, just bring him to Columbus. He was here. And then I'm like, okay.
I
looked at his
podcast, and I never meant it as a joke. I was ready for it. For it.
I think when I initially saw it, I looked at his numbers and his stats, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this kid, I wouldn't have been super thrilled. But we got to trust in Yarmo. He brings him over and throw him in center, and the kid is making highlight reels, and he seems to be one of the most comfortable guys with the puck right now.
Absolutely. It's and I'm not trying to, talk myself up, but a week before the trade happened, I said on the podcast, the Artillery podcast, I was like, hey, bring me Laine, bring me Roslovic. And it happened. And, and we kind of joked off air right before we hit record. I'm glad that they threw in Laine in the Roslovic trade. Roslovic's been, dude, he's thriving right now. I think what does he have? 10 or 11 points in 10 games?
Yeah, I think it's 9 points in 10 games. And
so basically just going to call you Milstradamus at this point because the fact that you just put it out there and it just worked.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it happened. Okay.
Hey, but there you go for your Twitter bio, Milstradamus.
Milstradamus. All right. Maybe I'll use that tonight.
There you go.
I will say when it happened, I was just like, I can't believe that happened. And I pulled the clip from the podcast and I made it I made it like a little social media post. I'm like, called it. Let's go.
Yeah. It's
nailed it.
Nailed it.
It's definitely one of those things that I wasn't expecting to see the production out of him, but there seems to be something clicking with him, Cam, and Laine. And I love it.
If I'm Tortorella, do not break up that line. Keep that. Do not put it in the Tort Splendor. Keep it how it is, please.
That was 2 seasons ago. That was like the Cam Panarin and PLD. Don't do anything with it.
Don't do it, man.
They'll sit there and play. Hey, well, there's your first shift. We're going to go ahead and, all right, well, Cam, you're going to the fourth line. We're going to bring up Riley Nash to be the wing. What are we doing here? It doesn't make sense, but
no, but yeah, so, it's working right now, man. I'm pumped to see Roslovic thriving in the city.
Yeah.
And I just wish there was fans in the building to see him, a hometown boy. Can you imagine the excitement? As soon as he touches the puck and he scores a goal, the reaction in the arena would be absolutely insane.
Oh yeah. I'm hoping that, if he keeps his production up, I could see him being another Cam Atkinson. He could be a huge staple of this team and just being a personality for the Blue Jackets. Hey, I grew up here and then I get to play in my hometown. I played for the AAA Blue Jackets and I'm wearing the same number. That's cool. It's granted he's not the first one, but he's been the best so far.
He's the first one actively playing on the team. We've seen Sherwood come through, but which I love. I love Cole Sherwood. I would love to see if he could get some more opportunities or more looks with the team, but he's the first guy that's actively putting up points as a Columbus native with Columbus, obviously. So
isn't his number the first number ever worn by the team too?
The 96?
Yeah.
He's the first person in Blue Jackets history to wear it.
Not bad. So, that's not bad.
Blue Jackets legend.
Yeah, that was his AAA jacket number when he was a little youngster in the
I guess we should expect a Roslovic statue outside of the Nationwide Arena at some point.
We put it up now. Let's go. Put it up. Build it.
Just put it up now. Maybe with or without a Stanley Cup and a C on his chest.
Hey, just throw it up right next to the Ryan Dzingel statue. He played here for 45 minutes, so that's fine.
But he wasn't from Columbus. He just played for Ohio State, so it's true.
But his tenure was a lot longer than Galchenyuk in Carolina. So
or Galchenyuk in any team.
Also fair, very valid.
Yikes.
So talking about the trade, obviously right now you can look at numbers. PLD's on the IR. He's played 2 or maybe 3 games.
What happened with him, by the way? Is it lower body, upper body?
It was
on the IR, but I just didn't know why.
All I saw was it was a lower body. And they said that it seems to be something that's been nagging him, which, okay, but I don't think that had anything to do with when he was in Columbus either, because that's just a lack of effort, not, hey, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
So in the long run, say in 3 or 4 years, who do you think is going to win the trade? If you want to put a specific statement on that of, hey.
So, I mean, it ultimately depends if Line A resigns. But granted, Line A is a RFA, so the cards are kind of in our hand in terms of what we want to do. If Yarmo gets the feeler out and Line A doesn't want to resign, we could make a pretty big trade and acquire some more pieces. But if Line A does resign, I think Roslovic's very happy here. I think he wants to be here long term. I think there's no question about that. In my opinion, I just think PLD, is he an impactful player for sure? When he's fully healthy and he's going at it, as much as I have some disdain towards him right now, like there's no question he's a great player. I just think he might get lost in the shuffle in Winnipeg because they're so deep with centers.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that he'll be the star that he could have been in Columbus. And I think PLD will do well in Winnipeg. I just don't know if I see him really blossoming into like their number one guy. So I just think long term, if Line A does come back, if Yarmo works his magic and signs him long term, to me it's a win-win either way. Because like I said, Line A he's a restricted free agent. So Yarmo can work magic that way if Line A chooses not to resign, and if Line A does choose to resign, I think we have a weapon that we could build our team around for years to come. So as much as the political or the pundits on like NHL Network, I feel like a lot of them say like Winnipeg won that.
Yeah,
I don't see it. I really don't. I think Columbus has all the opportunity to win this one.
Yeah, and I think like you said, a lot of it is based around what happens with Line A. So far, I think the Roslovic side of it is going to be fine. I am not concerned about that in the slightest. I think a lot of it's going to be based around. Instantly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he signed a 2-year deal before he even left his hotel room or his house or something.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it's going to be based around Line A. And, with PLD, like you said, he's a good player. You can't negate that. But, when you thought of the Blue Jackets, it was Seth Jones, Pierre-Luc Dubois. Okay, well, great. Well, you think of the Winnipeg Jets, it's all right, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Paul Stastny.
Oh, yeah.
And Connor Hellebuck. And then who else? Oh yeah, Pierre-Luc Dubois on there too. Yeah. Like he's going to get lost. I think he'll be a second, third line guy right now with not as much ice time as he had before. So I don't know. I don't see him staying there long term. I still see him going to Montreal eventually, but that'll probably be unrestricted days.
Yeah. So I agree. And kind of what we both said there, I think I just feel like he'll get lost in the shuffle there. And I agree with your statement there. Like, I don't see him being like a first line guy for them. I could see him being a second, mostly maybe third right now, because I feel like they're pretty solidified up the middle. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, being solidified up the middle makes you a good ass hockey team. So, but I just think with him, he could have been a true bona fide superstar in this city. I really believe that. And I think he kind of gave that up for God knows what reason. We still don't know truly what happened. But I think the Blue Jackets came out stronger and better. And like I said, it does depend if Line A wants to sign long-term, but at the same time, if he doesn't, and Yarmo understands that and knows that, you know damn well he's going to make a crazy trade again. That's going to bring somebody else in that I think will help us. And so I'm not worried about it. I really am not. I think long term we won that trade. Yeah.
And over the last couple of years, to me, Yarmo's really given us many reasons just to trust him. Hey, I'm doing this. Initially, you're like, "What the hell are you doing?" But then it turns out to being, "Hey, this guy's a genius, and clearly he knows who these guys are." For example, for me so far, it was it really solidified it with him picking Chinikov in the last draft.
Yeah.
Nobody
NHL Network didn't know who the hell he was.
No.
Didn't even have a graphic ready for him.
No, not in the top 100. He wasn't even awake. They had to wake him up. And
by the way, you guys got drafted, bud.
Yeah. And it was like everyone was, who is this guy? And then you start looking at videos, and then I've been watching him with the KHL, and it's like, this kid is good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens with the future. But I guess we'll see with that. So last question that I've got for you.
Yeah.
Is this has been a thing for me. I am still pissed about it. How mad are you that Vegas gets an outdoor game before we do in our 20th season?
Oh, dude. It's bullshit, honestly.
Yeah.
I have been a proponent. Like, one of the things, like the first year of the CBJ Artillery, we created a hashtag called CBJ in the shoe. And it started to trend on Twitter. It was like I don't know if it was the first year or the second year. And then like ABC 6 News contacts me, Clay Hall, like for ABC local Columbus affiliate. He says, hey, can you meet me outside the Horseshoe? I'd love to interview you. It's like, cool, let's do it. And we do this interview, and, we're just talking about how, the Blue Jackets were finally somewhat consistent. Let's get a damn outdoor game. And so we've been a proponent of an outdoor game for so long, and especially lately, like we're the Fox Sports Ohio ratings, I think, like nearly doubled last year alone.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like we're the right market for it. And if you advertise it right, you get, whether it's the Pens or I think you go Red Wings, even though Red Wings have been kind of struggling lately. I think you put Ohio versus Michigan in the Horseshoe. Dude,
you have to
all day. I've been saying the same thing for a couple of years. It's not so you have the OSU Michigan rivalry. It switches every year. I've been saying, all right, have the Blue Jackets and Red Wings playing Columbus, and then wait a couple years, and then have the Blue Jackets Red Wings playing Ann Arbor.
Absolutely.
Why not? Like, can you imagine how much revenue that will bring in?
The shoe's going to get filled out because there's Ohio State fans love anything going on in the shoe, especially if it's hockey and football or whatever. So you have to do that.
In Columbus, other than Ohio State, there's not much else to go to other than now the Crew.
Yeah. In terms of like sports, I mean, it's what you got. And not only is Columbus, I mean, it's a great city for a lot of things. I mean, we're very competitive in terms of the business aspect of a lot of things, but at the same time, like, we're a sports city, like we're a sports town. And I've seen people on Twitter say, "Oh, we'll never go to the shoe. We'll never pack that out." Like, no, we will. That's not a problem at all. And I think, I think eyeballs will be glued, like, nationally, because, like, oh shit, Ohio versus Michigan in the shoe, like Blue Jackets, Red Wings. Like, I think
you promote it right, easily.
Marketing are huge there, and the fact that Vegas gets a team or gets a outdoor game for us. That's bullshit.
Like, this would have been the perfect year. Now, granted, COVID messed some stuff up, but and ideally it would have been a year to have the Blue Jackets and the Wild play each other. It's both of their 20th anniversary seasons. Why not? You still could have done Columbus and Detroit. They're in the same division this year. I mean, I know, and initially it should have been, since all the COVID stuff, and they announced Lake Tahoe games, it should have been one of the teams at minimum. But no, let's just keep stroking Vegas, give them whatever they want, and then Boston gets their 417th outdoor game, and then you have the Flyers who get their 414th outdoor game, and then the Avalanche. I'm cool with the Avalanche. It's fine. But at the same time, I think part of it, I'm still frustrated because we were going to get the international series this year. So we were supposed to get the international series in Finland.
At least we're getting a little, they threw us a little bit of a bone there, like, which we still don't get that because of Corona, so it sucks. But
so it's like, hey guys, guess what? You're going to do this? Huh? Just kidding. All right. Well, do we still get to do it?
No,
not you guys. I mean, we'll let Colorado do this stuff. That's fine.
We'll continue to be the little brother of the NHL. That just seems like how that goes.
Yeah.
ask a Pittsburgh fan. They think that we're a rival. They'll be like, no, you're just our little brother. It's like,
I'm telling you what. I think over the last couple of years, the Blue Jackets fans have started to get the mentality that originally it was Pittsburgh that kind of we hated and we don't like, and that's our rival.
Yeah.
And then it was Washington for a short amount of time, but now I think it's really starting to develop into Tampa. Those games are awesome.
Oh yeah, they're incredible. To me, it's just whoever the hell we're playing in the playoffs. I think, like Pittsburgh, there was a couple years string back to back where we just luckily, we were playing them first round and things got heated. Even the regular season games were getting heated. You got Dubinsky, fighting Crosby. That was insane. And it just like the hostility within the building, because it was always 50-50 fans at Nationwide. It was 50% Pens, 50% Blue Jackets fans. So like the building was always rowdy. Like it just felt like a true rivalry.
Yeah.
Granted, Pittsburgh always beat us first round of the playoffs. That sucks. But lately Tampa Bay, yeah, man. Like these games they're hot. They're hot, man. And I love watching them. But I don't know if I could pinpoint a true rival right now for us, but Tampa Bay, because it's fresh on our mind, I think that's who you got to go with for sure.
It should be Nashville. It should be Nashville, honestly, because that'd be a lot of fun, which we need to. Not that far apart, and
we came in. Yeah.
I think they came in a year before us.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, because it was Wild with us, and I think Nashville was a year before.
Yeah.
Even the distance isn't really that far for you guys, or
5-6 hours, I think.
Yeah, or Jackets, Detroit. Why not?
Yeah,
I still don't understand how, after all these years, the Jackets and Detroit are not in the same conference. They're like 3 hours apart. They are in
the same conference, Alex. You mean division?
Whatever.
Well, same division, but
yeah. Granted, this year they're in the same division, not conference, same division. But it's always confused me as to how they did this restructuring, and then Detroit's in the Atlantic, but we're going to throw Carolina in the Metro.
Yeah,
that's a perfect time to build that Blue Jackets and Red Wings rivalry, continue that Ohio-Michigan stuff.
They're missing out on a huge NHL marketing opportunity there.
Oh yeah, it's the NHL marketing.
Well, there you go. That's the one problem right there. But yeah, if you drive straight north, they're actually a little more to the east, right, than we are.
Northeast-ish, a little bit, because 75 you go up a little,
kind of go over. So they're more Eastern Conference. So I don't know why we're not in the in the same division there.
I'm not sure.
Because it's the NHL and they do not know how to do things correctly. Let's be honest.
True.
Yeah.
We make this up as we go. It's basically is the motto of the league.
Hey, they made it this far, so whatever.
Make it up as you go, just like the Red Wings reverse retro. Terrible.
Yeah. You make it.
So that's one thing you made me remember. It looks like, I'm sure you saw it and that you guys are pretty active on Twitter. Dubinsky seems like he unofficially announced his retirement. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the writing was on the wall there. Obviously didn't play at all last year. Really just didn't hear a peep out of him, or there's no information was given about the situation or really what went down. Beyond it, was it like a wrist or a hand? I forget exactly.
It was some wrist injury that just kept nagging him. I think doing all the face-offs all the time just made it never get better.
Well, hell, he was fucking great at those.
Oh, for sure.
But with Dubinsky, I think at his age, I just don't think you can miss a year, 2 years and pick up where you left off.
No.
So I think the writing was on the wall there. He had a great career, great Blue Jacket. The fact that he came into this city part of that Rick Nash trade and was proud to be here. Like I absolutely loved it, and he was a part of the turnaround of the Blue Jackets. He was an instrumental part of the growth and the identity shift within this franchise. So I loved every second of him being here, and sucks he kind of went out that way and he didn't get to play in front of the home fans, one last time. But he's a guy that I will always remember that went toe to toe with Crosby during a Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah. Great. Hopefully he still has fun selling, Myers jewelry and stuff like that. But yeah, he was, I think he was a big piece of this, especially, he knew Torch from New York also. And I think that, he seems like he was definitely a guy that filled that A, and, he could have been a captain. It's just stuff happens and not much you can do, but
scored that game winner in game 4. Oh,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on with us. It's been pretty fun having you guys on. You're sure we'll have you guys on some more. You get Kyle on here too, and just
if you want somebody to yell a lot, get Kyle on here. He'll be on here for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Jordan, you want to go ahead and plug your stuff? Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, just we are the CBJ Artillery on all forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Somehow we've gotten about 50,000 followers. Don't know how that happened because we're usually just drunk and we just tweet shit. But yeah, you can also find our podcast on any major streaming outlets, iTunes, Spotify, Google, SoundCloud, whatever it is. We also got merch, our five line hoodies been dropped here, shoptheartillery.com. If you want to buy some colorful Blue Jacket stuff. We got some fun stuff on our site there. So
Big Stick Roslovic,
BJ season, which of course means Blue Jackets, nothing else.
Yeah, of course. And still, you still got that old school Columbus or nowhere. Thank you, Panarin, for the inspiration.
Oh yeah, those I see those around town all the time. I'm like, hell yeah. I love
Oh yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But well, man, I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have you guys on again at some point, but
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Go Jackets. Hope we beat the Preds tomorrow, and Blackhawks are terrible. So
I agree.
Just keep I'll let our 6 Stanley Cups speak for themselves. So have fun never making the second round until whenever. So
how many times have you swept the President's Trophy winning team?
And we made the Stanley Cup. We made the second round 2 years ago. So
yeah,
I was saying you made the second round, but you haven't seen anything past that. So I mean,
that doesn't matter. No, we're not. No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
Tampa Bay. We swept Tampa Bay 2 years ago.
I'm glad that your early Stanley Cup moment is for you guys sweeping Tampa. That's
hey.
Oh, we also beat Tampa, but that was for a Stanley Cup. So
yeah, when we're a team for 214 years, we should have 6 Stanley Cups at that point too. So no big deal. Original 6.
There's you can't fight that one. We've been around for 21 years.
Yeah. No,
20 years.
Yeah, I can't really say a whole lot about that. So it's all right. No big deal.
All right, Jordan. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
Cool. See you guys.
All right.
You're listening to the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast. Here are your hosts, Zach Martin and Alex Nuttall.
Big thanks to Jordan for joining us. We are now officially going to start period 3 of the Cannons and Tomahawks podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports and sponsored by Spy Optic and Pure Hockey. So, great segment, with Jordan. Great to have him on. That was a lot of fun talking CBJ and, talking about torts and, possible future captains and all that other stuff. So that was awesome to have Jordan on. That was really good time.
For sure. Yeah. Jordan, thanks again for coming on, man. It's always good. Anybody else from the artillery wants to hop on or wants to have us on there, be my guest, hit us up. We don't do much other than watch hockey and talk about hockey. So we can always figure something out.
Yeah, for sure. So the Blackhawks have had an interesting week. We were supposed to have 4 games this week, but we only got 3 because the game that was supposed to be played tonight against Carolina was postponed, and Carolina actually played Tampa instead. So we lost a game tonight, and our next game is not until Tuesday against the Columbus Blue Jackets. But before we, get into, the previews for this upcoming week's game, the Blackhawks did play, earlier in the week on Monday night against Detroit, and they won 3-2 in overtime. So that was a little bit nerve-wracking for the fact that it was like 2-1 after 1, and then Detroit scored it late.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey, they did get the win. So, I mean, I'm not really too upset about it. I mean, Dominic Kubalik did get the overtime winner. So take that as you will. Yeah. I mean, I'm just glad that the team is actually, doing pretty decent at that point. I don't know, man. It was –
you guys are looking good. Lankinen's been on fire. Your offense is starting to pick up. Speaking of the game that was canceled today, have you found any type of reasoning behind it or any explanation as to why?
I checked Blackhawks Twitter account. They haven't tweeted in about 22 hours. I checked NHL's Twitter. Absolutely nothing on their end. And I even looked on, the hockey's PR thing. Still absolutely nothing on that as well. I don't know what happened with that. And actually, Subban played that game on Monday night against Detroit. It wasn't Lincoln. It was Subban. So he did get the win, stopped 27-29. But, for whatever reason, I have not seen why we didn't have a game tonight. Like, Blackhawks haven't mentioned it. NHL hasn't mentioned it. I mean, unless someone did find out and I somehow just missed it because, I do work nights and I might miss things here and there. But honestly, dude, I've heard nothing about this.
Yeah.
Why we had no game tonight.
Yeah, I know we talked about it earlier. I don't know if it was a situation of, the Blue Jackets and the Blackhawks haven't had to miss a game, so they had the most games in hand. Maybe they're trying to. Yeah. I know Carolina missed a couple. I think Tampa missed one or two.
Oh, no, Tampa's missed a few. They're like, I think they only played like 12 games or something like that. So they're pretty far.
Maybe
behind.
They're trying to
even it up.
They might be trying to, give them extra games and trying to even it up as much as possible. I mean, I don't know. The season has to end. It's going to be based off of points percentage. They've made that clear. But
man, that's good. That's going to be rough. I mean, at least with baseball, at least they managed to have everyone play the same amount of games. It's just I know it's harder for hockey. You can't have like double header hockey games in the same night and back to backs of the scheduling and stuff. But it's like the points percent. Like it's almost like I know we're off a little bit of a tangent here. I know we kind of talked about it before, but it's like the whole points percentage thing. Like basically, like anyone talking like smack about records and. I know I talked a little crap about it in period 2 with the Blackhawks and the Jackets. Well, that's mostly just tongue in cheek to give you and Jordan some garbage about stuff. But at this point, it's like you really can't say, "Oh, well, my team's second in the whole league," or "We're leading the division." It's like, well, good for you, but you got like 4 other teams that you've got like 5 games in hand on. That's not really going to matter when they play all their games and you're all of a sudden you're back in 5th because those teams probably scored about 6 or 8 points in those games. I mean, so it's like at this point you're like, do you even care about the standings until like the last month of the season at this point? Because
it's something like that, and I think a lot of it depends because if you look at the East Division, the Devils didn't play for 16 days, so they missed probably about 7 games. Yeah, and they're all messed up. I'd say the most consistent one has been the
us
West.
And you guys. Yeah, us and you guys. No. Well, yeah, overall for an entire division, yes, but even Canada's been perfectly fine. I don't think they've missed a game at all.
Yeah, I think with theirs it's just different with having an odd number of teams and then having, some guys are playing other ones 8 times, 9 times, 10 times. And
then there was always there's one team having to sit out, because they're not playing. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, luckily the Jackets and the Blackhawks are the only teams that haven't missed a game. Now we have missed a game because, we had a postponement. So it's.
But I mean, it still wasn't. Luckily, it wasn't COVID related, so that's a positive.
Luckily, yeah. I'm glad it wasn't COVID related, but it's still kind of. My whole point is that this points percentage thing is kind of like it's really going to throw. You can almost pretty much throw the good majority of the season out the window because you don't know where the teams are going to stack up by the end of this thing's over. Like there's going to be teams who could probably play almost every game this year, and there's teams who probably played like 40-something games. Yep. Like you don't know.
It's definitely going to be off kilter for sure. There's going to be a lot of weight thrown at certain divisions and certain teams because they played 15 more games than somebody else, and it's.
Basically, honestly, like what we've said before, don't even play for overtime. You got to win in regulation.
No, you have to.
Overtime losses aren't going to matter. Like, I mean, they might matter a little bit, but not for your points percentage.
Well, they're gonna that overtime loss point. If they get that point in overtime, not necessarily going to a shootout, but it's going to help. So it's, I'm not saying that hey, you want to go to every single game and try and get to overtime and then not care what happens. No, you want to win in regulation no matter what, every single game. But
for sure,
it's one of those things that the overtime loss point is going to throw things off this year because that's going to hold more weight than it normally does. Mm-hmm. And then not going based off of final records, going based off of points percentage is going to throw a wrench in everything too, because you're going to have some teams like, for example, the Devils. The Devils could play 20 less games because of constantly getting canceled, but since they've come back, they've looked very good. They could sit there and have a crazy good points percentage. And if you go based off points percentage, they could end up being in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, they could have a record of like, let's say, what did you just say? Like, what was it? 56. Well, how many games we played this year? Like, what, 50 something?
56.
56. Yeah. Let's say they play 46 games. They can be 30-16, some crazy number like that, or 40 and something. And they can get into the playoffs. I mean, even 30-16, that's, that
they'd
can still get them
they'd have like a 650.
They'd probably get in the playoffs just on that alone. Yeah, they would get into the playoffs just on that, because there's probably a lot of teams that aren't even going to have a percentage like that. And they can still get in with 20 less games, like you said. So or 10 less games. So I mean, it's crazy. Let's say 20 less games. You're playing 36. Go 20-6 or something like that. It's going to be an absolute joke of how they're going to figure this out. And like I said, you pretty much can't even worry about the standings until like a month left in the season, because anything can change between now and then.
No, 100%.
Yeah, but going back to the games, Wednesday night, the Blackhawks did win 2-0. It was Kevin Lincoln's first career shutout, so awesome job to Lanks for doing that. Played out of his mind. Khrushchev scored in the second period. That was his 5th of the season. And Alex DeBrincat scored his 9th, so awesome job by him. And I mean, Lincoln, man, was he just played a phenomenal game, stopping 29 of 29, 19 on even strength. Just the dude. I know we talked about it in the second period and stuff like that, and we've talked about it overall on other shows. Kevin Lincoln right now is playing just absolute brilliant hockey, and I mean, you almost have to give it to this kid for the fact that at this point it's almost his net to lose. So I mean,
imagine him with a healthy roster. That's almost scary to think about.
Yeah, a healthy roster and a defense that's consistent, because our defense is still kind of like, it's pretty much hit and miss for the most part. I mean, the game last night.
I'm the Blue Jackets.
Well, because last night they did lose to the Hurricanes 5-3, but I mean, Lincoln only gave up 4. And I mean, you really can't fault him for a lot of those, because I mean, like, he did stop 22 of 24 in even strength, on, power plays, and, he was 9 for 11, but he was 2-2 on the shorthanded. I mean, his save percentage was only an .892, but I mean, 33 of 37. It was just one of those games where, the defense didn't really help out a whole lot. It is what it is. I mean, it's
going to happen.
Oh yeah, you can't be a stone wall every game. So I mean, you're going to have games like that where you're going to give up 3, 4, 5 goals. I mean, he hasn't really given a whole lot of goals this year. I mean, if you count last night's game, I think it's been updated. Yeah, right now he's in 13 games. He's 7-3-3 with a 242 goals against and a 927 save percentage.
Yeah,
that's after giving up 4 goals last night and having a save percentage of .892. I mean, any team would kill to have a record like that for a goalie in 13 games. Where he's already has 7 wins and 3 OT losses, and he's like a sub 2.5 and a sub 9.3 save percentage. Any team would love to have that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not going to blame Lincoln for that. Like you said, there's goalies that are going to have bad nights. I mean, Carter Hart's had some bad nights. Bennington's had bad nights. I mean, it's going to happen to everyone. This year is just a lot more scoring because, it is what it is. So, I mean, I'm not too upset about it. I mean, like I said, Lincoln's been playing really well. Got the shutout the other night. Basically they're giving the Blackhawks are giving Lincoln a lot more times in net just because of how good he's been. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the kid is going to be our future for a long time. So I'm just waiting for the announcement when they're going to extend him at this point. It's going to happen.
No, it's absolutely going to happen. And I think DeBrincat's starting to open up his offense a little bit more, and he's starting to kind of get his groove back. I think he needs to develop a little bit more maturity on the puck, but past that, he's really starting to kind of fill the shoes. Dylan Strome is doing really well too.
They have. I think with Alex, though, I think the fact that he had a down year last year, I think like I said, he needs to be more consistent in terms of being a guy that everyone has to fear with the puck, because when you see Patrick Kane come down the ice, you're automatically worried that he's going to score on that shift because it's, Patrick Kane. Brinkett, kind of, there is some fear there, but I don't think teams are too worried about him so much, because there are some nights he's really on, and there's other nights where you're like, all right, is Alex going to be there? And same thing for Dylan Strome. It's like, right now, I still need to see a little bit more consistency out of Alex on a year-to-year basis to start getting he might hit the Patrick Kane range of being a dominant player who can score at will, because right now Alex doesn't really score at will right now. Patrick Kane does. He basically scores like a madman almost every season. He basically leads the team almost every year in score, like goals, assists, and scoring almost.
Yeah. I think a lot of that is just he needs more experience and a little bit more maturity. Kane he's one of those guys that comes in and they're just immediately good. Like Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, guys like that. They come in immediately. They're a game changer. And I think that Brinkett could do that, but I think he needs another year or two and just be healthy the entire season in a regular season, 82 game season, not this condensed crap, and get top line minutes and get consistent minutes and just get a lot more experience. I think he could do that.
Oh, for sure. I think he will. It's just there's gonna be a lot. Like I said, it's gonna be a while to get that to happen. But speaking of Patrick Kane, he did score last night. He's moved to within 3 goals of hitting 400 on his career. He's sitting at 397 right now. And through 992 games, he's got 397 goals, 650 assists for 1,047 points. Because he scored last night and got an assist. I mean,
let's talk about that goal. First off,
that spinorama with 11 seconds left was absolutely, I mean, it's pretty much patent Patrick Kane. I mean, he does that on a continuous basis for the most part, but that was absolutely disgusting. That was a fantastic goal.
Oh, that was that's definitely just a normal Patrick Kane goal. Everyone else sees it and they're like, oh, wow, that's nuts. And then he's probably like, whatever. Another goal.
Yeah, he's like, I've done it about another. I think I've done it about 100 or so times. It's like, that's nothing. Like,
yeah,
that would make Dennis Savard just smile whenever he sees it. Spinorama goal. For those who don't know who Dennis Savard is, go look it up on Wikipedia, because we have a whole episode just talking about legends on certain teams.
We've had
might be a little short.
We've had 20% of a legend, so I'd say probably
20%.
Blue Jacket, dude. Blue Jackets legend Sergei Fedorov. Okay, he was here for a year.
Yeah, Jeff Carter, Adam Foote,
Nikolai Zherdev. That was great.
Tugnut at one point.
You don't mess with Ronald Tugnut, okay? He is the man.
Yeah, garage beers guys are going to give me a whole lot of crap for mentioning Tugnut in that context.
Hey, Tugger is the man. Okay,
no,
he is.
He's got a legit hockey name. Not gonna lie, that's a legit hockey name.
Speaking of Boone Jenner, if you don't think that's a hockey name, then we're done. That is 100% a hockey name.
Oh yeah, easily Boone Jenner. How can you not?
That's
I coined it. I kind of wish this nickname kind of took off. What was it, the Legion of Boone or something like that, or Boone, Boone Squad, something like that. Come on, the Legion of Boone. How can you not like that?
There we go. Future episode, guys. It'll be a special edition episode with us ranking our top hockey names.
Yeah, after we get through our top 30 or our 32 ranking of home jerseys for the entire league, and we'll actually have an interesting list that's going to actually make sense. So that'll be a fun one for sure. But yeah, going back to Patrick Kane, though, I mean, the dude, it's just he's going to get 400 goals. I think he's going to hit 500. I think Kaner's going to get 500.
Yeah,
I don't see why he wouldn't. He's probably going to get 1,500 points. So
Easy.
Oh yeah, he's honestly, right now I know he's like 5th or 6th in points as an American, but he's gonna be the greatest American hockey player of all time. I don't think anyone's gonna touch any of his stats and just his play as an American.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but
he's definitely really good. And I was watching the Hawks game the other day. I don't remember who it was saying, but basically they said by the end of his playing time with Chicago that they feel he will be the greatest Blackhawk. Granted, right now he's not, but they were saying if he continues his production and he plays more and just continues doing what he's doing, that they feel there could be an argument made for him being the greatest Blackhawk of all time.
Yeah, because he's gonna get a lot more points again into the area of Bobby Hall, Chelios, and Stan Mikita and stuff like that. Mostly it's just Stan Mikita. That's the guy. That's really the guy you really got to compare yourself to in terms of legacy of the greatest Blackhawk of all time. Because Stan Mikita is the best Blackhawk ever right now, but Patrick Kane, he could have a say so when it's all said and done. I mean, he already has 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, he's got the Stanley Cups to his name more than what Stan did.
Yeah.
But in terms of games played and points and goals and stuff, yeah, he's got a little ways to go. But I think right now he's definitely got his name in the conversation as one of the best Blackhawks of all time. To be the Blackhawk of all time, he's just got to get some more goals and
he has
in games played.
He has room to grow, and he has some catching up to do for sure. But they were just talking about how he could, if he continues keeping the point production and the goals and assists going forward, that he could have an argument made in favor of him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. I wouldn't put it past Kaner if he does do it, become the greatest Blackhawk of all time. And if so, I'm glad I was just on the planet at the right time to see him do it. So I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah,
if Patrick Kane does that. At least I can tell people I lived during a time where I saw Patrick Kane just absolutely dominate and become the greatest Blackhawk ever. So
yeah,
I'm not upset about that. But so we do have you guys Tuesday and Thursday, and then we play the Red Wings on a back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. That will be an interesting week for sure. Hopefully we can sweep you guys this time instead of having our usual splits. But it's in Columbus, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, both games are going to be in Columbus, and we'll see what happens because it was a couple minutes into the third period today, and Elvis got hurt. So I don't know what's going on with that. So I'm sure Corpy will be back in, and I guess we'll see what happens. Whatever's going on with all that.
Yeah, we'll just have Lincoln and then he'll just shut you guys down again like usual. So
yeah, sure.
Not too worried about it.
Line's got a hattie this week. I'm telling you, I'm gonna put it down right now.
Yeah,
Line's got a hattie coming up against you guys.
Not gonna happen. He's not gonna get a hattie.
Oh, okay.
I would say that Lincoln has a better chance to get a shutout against you guys than Line getting a hattie against us.
Nope. Not a chance.
I guess we'll see. We'll have to see.
We will find out. We will find out, sir.
Yeah. But this was a great episode, man. Nothing too crazy, talked about, all the craziness that was in Lake Tahoe and, big props to Nico and Sid for all their accomplishments. Kaner's getting close to a couple milestones himself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, and of course, big thanks to Jordan for jumping on and talking to us about some Blue Jacket stuff tonight. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always good getting, other Blackhawks and Blue Jackets fans, really other hockey fans, and talk to them.
For sure.
It's always good to get them out. And before we let you guys go, obviously, we're going to let you know coming soon. So we are not going to have a special edition episode this week. Coming up on Wednesday, the 3rd, is going to be our first installment of our ranking series. We're going to be ranking all 32 home jerseys, and we are including the Seattle Kraken and the home jerseys that they've got, even though it hasn't been, I don't know if it's official, but what has been put out by them. So we're going to be ranking all of them, and we're going to have just blunt arguments, no wishy-washy nonsense or any. Zach will probably have the Blackhawks as number one because they're, the greatest jersey and the greatest logo.
I'm not going to confirm. I'm not going to confirm or deny this. So you're just going to have to wait until those episodes drop, and you'll see where I put the Blackhawks. So
yeah.
For right now, I'm not going to confirm or deny where I'm putting them in terms of first or whatever. So you're just going to have to wait. You're just going to have to wait and see when that does happen. So
okay. Sure. Yeah. Hawks number one, apparently.
Well, I'm telling you right now, though, Ottawa's is not going to be 32nd. I can tell you that much right now. So,
well, the ones they're using this year, not a chance.
Yeah. No, we're talking about this year. Yeah, no, Ottawa's not 32nd. So I'm putting that out right now. They're not going to be last.
Who's also not going to be last?
Columbus.
The Atlanta Thrashers.
There you go. I see what you did there.
They're not going to be last. They're not going to be first either, but they won't be last, and they won't be from 1 to 32 either. But that's a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Bring those back. Bring those retros back. That'd be fun.
First off, I think the Thrashers had an awesome logo, once they switched it to that new T, that was pretty sick. But
yeah,
we
might
got to give Winnipeg a team again.
Well, we'll have to throw some honorable mentions in our rankings for jerseys that we like that we wish kind of made a comeback at some point as a retro or those teams that should never have left. So
Whalers.
We'll have to throw some honorable mentions for sure.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's going to about wrap us up for episode 7. Zach, where can the people find us?
Well, the people could find us on our Linktree that is in our Twitter bio. But if you do click on that, you'll see us on all of our links to our other socials. We're on Instagram, Facebook. If you want to find our podcast, it's on Spotify and Apple. And it also has links to our sponsors of Spy Optic and Pure Hockey. Because if you click on those, it'll take you to their websites and you can peruse their, endless selection of hockey gear, memorabilia, stuff like that. And then, Spy Optics with their goggles and sunglasses and shirts, hoodies, and all that good stuff too. So make sure to click on those because
the links to our sponsors are in the Linktree. That is awesome.
I know, right?
That is really cool. Shout out to Pure Hockey and Spy Optic.
For sure. Yeah.
Go get some gear. They have some awesome stuff. If you guys are watching the YouTube version, this is a Pure Hockey USA hockey hoodie. One of the most comfortable I've ever had. Pure Hockey also has some super cool and super comfortable performance hoodies. They have a bunch of sweet hats. And, if you play hockey, they have a bunch of gear, discounted sticks, skates, pads, helmets, all kinds of cool stuff. And then Spy Optic has some really sweet shades and some other gear too. I just got some earlier today. I got
there you go.
Some sunglasses and a hoodie. They have a really a good selection of really cool stuff and a lot of different models, and they're changing things all the time.
Oh, for sure. But if you guys want to find that Linktree bio, make sure to go check out Cannon Hawks Pod on Twitter. And if you want to talk to us individually, you can find me at CLE Zach, and you can find Alex at 8 Nuttall_CBJ. You can DM us. You can tweet at us, telling us how, our takes are absolute trash, or, if one of us is actually smarter than the other one, we all know who is the smarter one of the podcast, and it's not the dude he thinks he is because he's a Columbus Blue Jackets fan. What does he know about success? So, and good takes.
Guarantee I would destroy you in contract knowledge.
Ooh, contract knowledge. Oh, that's so great.
Hey, it helps with fantasy.
Very true, very true. But hey, my fantasy hockey team is first in my dynasty league, so I'm not really not upset about it. So you can suck on that.
Okay.
But anywho, guys, thank you for checking out episode 7. Wait for that to drop, and then we'll see you guys on future episodes of the podcast. And always remember, it's beer, food, and hockey.